You're watching FARC Racing on OEN. We try to make it seem like just a bit more than cars going around in circles. FARC Racing on OEN is brought to you by Karl's Superstores, proud supporter of FARC Racing for over 20 years, and proud supporter of great customer service no matter whose dignity we sacrifice in the process. Today, the FARC Elite Series makes its second annual visit to the Karl's Superstore in Riverside, California. The entire store was cleared out to set up a temporary oval, 2/10 of a mile in length. It's the shortest track that FARC will race on this season, but it is a very long day of racing. The Regional Cup race just wrapped up a few minutes ago with Justin Slade taking the win, and up ahead we have 4 50-50 sprint races, and the top 5 finishers from all 4 of those races will go on to the 100-lap feature. Certainly no pressure there. Kurt Walker took the Mar-a-Lago Pole Award for 50-50 sprint number 1, Kiki Hitsuno on his outside. As the field rounds the first corner, Walker tries to pull ahead. I see Laura Ocean got a bit out of shape. She got a little bit of help from behind, but she kept that car going as Kurt Walker leads the first lap. Hitsuno now under attack from Bigsby Foot for second. Alex Witt gets turned around by the doppelgang car of Brian George in the 81, and Witt hits one of the tires lining the track as he tries to get back going. Working lap 5, Foot still trying to get around the 4 for second. Here come Libby Bell and Monica Rook. All 4 of those cars run out of room. Foot and Hitsuno go into the wall, and several cars are trapped up high. It's a parking lot on the outside of turn 2. Bringing out the first Vickers collisioning last caution. Kurt Walker continues to lead, but Bell has a look out of turn 2. Bell into the back of Walker. Walker hits the tire. Bell, heavy damage on the front end of that 16 car. Todd Stater, significant damage on the 422 as well. Kurt Walker, the pole sitter, goes out of the race after an over-exuberant move by Libby Bell much too early in the race. Well, scratch that. This race is only 10 miles long, but Bell certainly seemed to have a faster car than Walker, so I'm sure she could have waited a little bit longer. This handed the lead over to Monica Rook in the 25 car. Taylor Brillen right behind her. Brillen all over the back of the 25, but Rook holds her off for now. And here comes Rachel Rainsford diving in there for second place. 3 wide. George Bryan, Kiki Hitsuno, and Gabriel Messina. Messina goes into the wall after all 3 of those cars run out of room. Gabriel Messina bringing in a new sponsor this week, 7-1 Sports. And it's a bit of a rough debut for his new sponsor. Hitsuno, on the other hand, is moving forward. In front of her is Brian George in the 01. And I'm sorry, that's Brian George behind her. That's somebody else in front of her. Try to identify that car running in front of her as soon as we can. But Hitsuno currently running in 5th, the last transfer spot into the feature race. Gabriel Messina stuck in another 3-wide situation with Gaffigan and Cade Taylor. Gaffigan goes around, and that's some heavy damage to the 80 car. Gaffigan was running in 8th place. That was the battle for 8th place. Gaffigan trying to hold off Cade Taylor and Gabriel Messina. Didn't work out so well. They removed the hood from that 80 car. In the meantime, Monica Rook continues to lead the race. Rook running a select few races for Big Mac Racing as a teammate to Makoto Yamada. They both have a win this season. Aaron Singer on the inside of Cade Taylor and Derek Dudding. Dudding running in the top 10 at the moment, but more importantly, Aaron Singer smashes into that tire on the inside of the track after contact with Cade Taylor. 3 wide, as it's been established, doesn't quite work out so well here. Monica Rook still leads. He saw Taylor Brillen dive into the pit lane. The Buffalo winner has now lost her chance of making it into the feature. And you just saw George Bryan in the 01 roughing up Rachel Rainsford. Rainsford now in second place, keeps it off the tires. The doppelgang car of Brian George, very fast. He's sharing that car this season with George Bryan. And now he's going to get second as there's contact between Kyle Gaffigan and Rachel Rainsford, both of them in the wall. And we've got another traffic jam off of turn 2. Dudding, Hitsuno, and Cade Taylor lose a lot of track position. Monica Rook still leads, coming to the worst restart ever. Hitsuno peels off the track. She's got a problem that needs to be addressed, and that it's the doppelgang in second place with George Bryan. Less than 10 laps to go now in this first 50-50 sprint. Gabriel Messina challenging Nanami Miura for 4th place. Just ahead of them is Brian George and somebody else. but Messina and Miura very evenly matched. The outside of turn 2 seems to have a lot of grip, and that's been keeping these on-track battles pretty interesting. Neither Messina nor Miura have the upper hand at the moment. Oh, there they go. Messina and Miura into the wall in the heat of the moment. That's going to give 4th place to Laura Ocean in the 798. Kate Taylor now rounds out the top 5. The Vicker collision and glass caution not thrown for this incident. Messina and Miura spun well out of harm's way. In the meantime, Monica Rook pulls away from the field, and she will come around to take her 2nd win of the season. She won at New York in that race that was unfortunately cut short, but she's got to be feeling good about winning one under green. Rook also led the most laps. Brian George for the Doppelgang finishes 2nd and claims the high climber bonus. Laura Ocean 4th and Kate Taylor 5th. So that's all 3 of the winners from New York that will make it into the feature today. Moving on to sprint number 2, Kevin Monroe on the Marlisle pole. As if I haven't said that enough this season, green flag is out and he gets a bit of a jump over Jeremy Baker, the championship leader in the FARC Truck Series. Laura Cyrus making her return to the series, tried to stick her nose in there for a second, but couldn't get the job done on this first lap of the race. She's going to try again off of turn 4 as Kevin Monroe pulls away. Cyrus on the inside of the 36, Baker with the run off the corner. Cyrus will not get it done. Kerry Ians, the 40-year-old rookie, finds himself in a bit of a sandwich, and he gets turned around by Mike Malone in the 5K car. Caution comes out, even though that Kerry Ians was pretty safely out of the way. And I am now being told that Karl Superstores does move a lot of Delano. Make of that what you will. Jeremy Baker out of the race from 2nd place with an engine failure. Monroe still maintains the lead. Joseph Howard now on the inside of Laura Cyrus, trying to make a move for 2nd. The defending series champion is trying to find some momentum as Tanner Clayson and Kelly Posadas find the wall. Tanner Clayson had a top 5 finish at Buffalo last week, but then he failed to finish the feature. Monroe runs wide. After the restart, Laura Cyrus tries to stick her nose in there. Bit of contact between the two, and Monroe is able to hold off the 3 car. It's good to see Laura Cyrus picking up right where she left off. She's trying to get herself back in championship contention after missing these last few races. Ashley Tucker muscles her way past the lapped car of Tom Brayton in the 100. Oh, contact between Brayton and Lawrence Burr in the 67. Brayton spins off to the inside. The caution does not come out, even though it did for Kerry Ians. Ashley Tucker currently runs 4th. And you probably just saw Kerry Ians diving into the pit lane with an engine failure. Tough break for Ians, the Australian rookie. Ralph West in the 33 car, the 3rd Pearson Sweeney car, currently running in 10th place. Good run for him until you consider that there are only 20 cars in this race. Ralph West, the son of one-time FARC winner James West, lacking a bit of pace at the moment. Oh, you saw Seiji Daiho get just a bit out of shape. Ralph West caught up to the 91 car pretty quickly as Tom Brayton, not paying any attention coming out of the pit lane. You probably noticed that the pit exit is perpendicular to the racing surface, so you've got to be extra careful to watch for oncoming traffic. Roy Cook took advantage of that stack up from Tom Brayton's spin and snuck by Lawrence Burr for the last transfer spot. But here comes Lawrence Burr giving a bump and run to the 666 car. Oh, Roy Cook into the side of the 67. Possible payback, but it backfires, and Roy Cook ends up losing more ground. Roy Cook, generally a very, very polite young man, almost in a creepy way, but that was probably quite a bit of frustration that we saw. Jason Bates turned into the wall by Lawrence Burr. Bates in the Karl Superstores Lennard for Pearson Sweeney Motorsports out of the race. That car heavily damaged. That's got to be gut-wrenching to be taken out in your sponsor's home race. Well, one of your sponsor's thousands of homes across the United States. Bates limps back to the pit lane, and we are still green. For some reason, that was a very heavy incident, but the flagman apparently not paying much attention. Anyway, this gives the 5th and final transfer spot to Zach Webster, but he's stuck behind the 100 at Tom Brayton, who's running quite a few laps down. Ralph West and Tammy Barnton are closing in on the 41. Zach Webster trying to finish a race for once. Joseph Howard trying to make a move on Laura Cyrus. This will be for 2nd place. And they're roughing each other up a bit. Contact on a couple of occasions between the 17 and the 3. Ashley Tucker in the 90, sitting right behind them, all too eager to pounce if either of these two take each other out. But it looks like Joseph Howard is going to successfully wrestle away the second spot from Laura Cyrus. Kevin Monroe is still driving away in the distance, though, as we approach 15 laps to go. And these two have a couple of lap cars in front of them. Oh, Tanner Clayson and Roy Cook into the wall. Joseph Howard bounces into the 3, and Laura Cyrus's race is over as she smashes into a tire wall. That is not how you get your championship effort back on track, but Joseph Howard escapes from that relatively unscathed, and he comes after Monroe on the restart, but Monroe gets the jump out of turn 2. Kevin Monroe has led every lap so far, and it looks like he's going to walk away with this race unless anything happens. Ashley Tucker and Zach Webster going at it for third place. Webster is one of those guys who seems to have been bitten by hard luck everywhere he goes this season. He does have a second place at New York, but he also leads the series in DNFs with 9. Ralph West in the 33 is solidly in the feature race, holding 5th place with the lapped car of Tom Brayton in between him and Tammy Barnton. So unless anything happens to the 33 car, it looks like that Pearson Sweeney will have something to smile about at the end of this race, as Kevin Monroe has taken the white flag with no real competition throughout this whole race. Monroe, after winning his 8th pole of the season, picks up win number 2 in 2014. Monroe's been a model of consistency in years past, but not so much this season. But with this second win, he's trying to solidify himself as a contender for a second title. Joseph Howard 2nd, Ashley Tucker 3rd, Zach Webster 4th, and Ralph West, the modified driver, claims the high climber bonus after starting 12th. Now on to sprint number 3, where Dan Leckliter has taken the Marlisle Pole Award. Brandomir Stanichev does get a jump on him, but Leckliter has the preferred line through 1 and 2. Stanichev fighting back, getting that run out of turn 2 that a lot of other people have gotten. Michael Madrigal, you saw, got turned around off of turn 2. Vicker collision and glass caution out on lap 1, and Radomir Stanichev barely beat Dan Leckliter to the line. Let's take a look at that first lap further down the field. Vincenzo Focusato was the one who got into the back of Madrigal as Caitlin Richler got turned into the wall. Heavy damage on that 84 car. That was started by some contact between Jared Pierce and Leslie Riggs. Richard Scott and Allie Riggs way up high, and they all just run out of room. Leslie Riggs into the tires, and the 64 does a lazy roll. Leslie Riggs out of the race on lap 1. 3 separate incidents on the first lap of the race. Hopefully that isn't an omen. Radomir Stanichev leads on the restart in the 82 Rus Autosport car that he shares with Lev Azarov in a joint championship effort. One of 3 teams going for that joint championship this season, the other 2 being Race Sim and Doppelgang. Andrea Kinasa gets turned around after contact with Harry Essenola. Kinasa was running 5th, and she's not paying too much attention coming back onto the track, getting into the 59 of Jessica Graham and the 27 of Richard Scott. Andrea Canasso is 10th in points coming into this race, and with so few transfer spots on the line, she really can't have incidents like this, as Jared Pierce gets turned into the tires by Robert Nelson out of turn 4. Jared Pierce was 7th, doing a pretty good job hanging on after being bounced around on that first lap, but now it all comes to an end. Not a good day for Stallman Racing, with Kyle Gaffigan being knocked around as well. Radomir Stanichev continues to lead. It was almost 3 wide between Leckliter, Joel Rodriguez, and Vincenzo Focusato for second back there. Stanichev trying to get away from all the chaos. Joel Rodriguez tries again. Vincenzo Focusato diving in a bit deeper, as there was a bit of contact between Rodriguez and Leckliter. They come back to the caution once again. Let's take a look at what happened. Harry Essenola and Nick Azure were roughing each other up a bit out of turn 2, and Nick Azure turned the 45 car around. Then coming back to the caution, Robert Nelson continues his reign of destruction. Andrea Canassa and Jessica Graham, heavy damage. And that pretty much sums up Jessica Graham's season of smashing into things. She had a fairly good season in 2013, but now it all seems to be going downhill again. Ryan Barrett, after the restart, got into a bit of a skirmish with somebody and retired that 51 car. Michael Madrigal doing a good job recovering from that first lap spin. He is up to 6th place right now and challenging Richard Scott for 5th, and now he picks up a couple more positions as Dan Lechlater and Vincenzo Focusato take each other into the wall, and the caution was not thrown for that. These races are going by very quickly. There's no way the flagman can be nodding off. Here's another look at that. Focusato challenging Lechlater for 3rd place, and they just don't give each other enough room and take each other into the wall. I'm sure Lechlater's got to be frustrated at this point. He had been steadily losing positions ever since leading the field to the green. In the meantime, Joel Rodriguez sits in 2nd place, trying to chase down Radomir Stanichev, but he's not really gaining any ground at the moment. Rodriguez took over the 92 Lennard for Bjorn Green Racing a few weeks ago, and Rodriguez has shown some decent speed when the luck has been on his side, with an 8th and 11th place at Buffalo last week. And now with 20 laps to go, he's on track to finish 2nd, unless something happens to either himself or Radomir Stanichev. Rodriguez has been bouncing around several different rides in several different racing series, and he's trying to solidify a spot for himself in American motorsports. Currently in the last transfer spot is Harry S. Enola, and it's not really a surprise to see Enola running towards the front when everything is falling apart around him. Enola has definitely been one of FARC's most disciplined drivers, something that I think can be attributed to his time in the Marines, and his self-discipline was definitely one of the biggest factors in his 3 victories last year, including here at the Karl Superstore. Enola is currently chasing Nick Azure, who he got together with earlier in the race, but they have both recovered pretty nicely. Azure currently on track to finish 4th. In the meantime, Joel Rodriguez has not been able to catch Radomir Stanichev, and he has pretty much run out of time to do so. Stanichev rounding the corner, about to take the white flag. Rus Autosport has been very fast this year. Stanichev dominated at Columbia until his engine let go, but not today. The car holds out, and Stanichev rounds the final corner to take his first FARC Elite Series victory. And it will be the first victory for Rus Autosport since Yevgeny Kuznetsov won at Tokyo in 2012. Joel Rodriguez comes home 2nd with a very clean run, and Michael Madrigal, Nick Azure, and Harry S. Enola make it into the feature after recovering from their respective incidents. Now on deck is the final sprint race, which will decide the last 5 spots in the feature. Rip Tyler on the Marlisle pole, but Jim Hayes pulls way out in front, and with the advantage he gets off of turn 2, Hayes takes over the lead. And we've got trouble in the back coming to the end of the first lap. One car upside down. J.W. Lester gets into the back of Bob Steffens. Steffens hits the tires and back into J.W. Lester, who does some cop car acrobatics into the path of Caden Beckett in the 18. Jim Hayes, after taking over the lead, has to dive into the pit lane with a puncture under this caution. This serves as a mulligan for Rip Tyler, who leads on the restart. Ryan Matthews right behind him, and Trey Ashby being challenged by Isaac Leitner for 3rd. Ashby having a good start after finally getting the funding together to go racing with Hot Shot Racing this season, but it looks like he's being roughed up a bit by Isaac Leitner in the 94. Leitner on the inside washes way up into the 12 car. Fortunately, they don't carry each other into the wall, but I don't think Trey Ashby is going to appreciate that. However, Leitner locks up the 3rd spot. Rip Tyler up in smoke from the lead. That's gonna hand it over to Ryan Matthews. Tyler's engine failure is gonna cap a terrible day for Sergio Power Incorporated. He stops on the track and brings out the Vickers Collision and Glass caution. His teammates Bixby Foot and Libby Bell crashed in the first sprint. And as the field tries to line up under caution, Aoi Mizushima and Luke Ocean get together and take each other into the wall. Ryan Matthews leads on the restart, Isaac Leitner behind him. Trey Ashby in danger of losing more spots. He gets together with Zachary Zins, and they're going to take each other into the wall. The caution is out once again. Mo Lester comes very close to smashing into the back of Trey Ashby. It's interesting that they threw the caution here when several other cars spun in that area earlier today, and they decided not to throw the yellow for it. Isaac Leitner dropped out of the race from 2nd under that caution. Ryan Matthews continues to lead, but now in 2nd place is Rookie of the Year leader Reed Bullitt. If you told me last season that Reed Bullitt was eventually going to be leading something, I would have laughed in your face, but Bullitt has definitely turned things around for himself, and I cannot say enough of what a good job he's done this season, improving his reputation and finding some speed. With the performances that Reed Bullitt has shown this season, you'd think that he would have had as much experience as his Sergio-powered teammates, but as his teammates have fallen on their faces today, Reed Bullitt has definitely been shining so far. And someone who's shining right now is AJ Young in the 15 for M&J Racing, who's actually passing people on the racetrack. Oh, look out. Luke Ocean in the 798 is slow, but AJ Young completes the pass on Mo Lester, and he's well inside the top 10. Reed Bullitt now out of the race from second. That's all 4 of the Sergio powered cars in trouble today. Ryan Matthews continues to lead. He's got Ryan Griffin behind him. Ryan Griffin trying to redeem himself in his first full season of FARC competition. He's been bouncing around from series to series and has caused more than a few problems along the way. And now looking back at AJ Young, who's continuing his tear through the field. He's just gotten by Scott Dalitz and is now in the top 5. You saw Cletus McGuffey getting turned into the tires, but the caution does not come out. But AJ Young has been very competitive today. He started last and worked his way up through the field. He's spent a vast majority of his career being laughed at for his antics, but lately he has been turning some heads, and in a good way, with some of his performances. Jim Hayes in the 77 for Tom Delgado Racing, currently in 3rd place, trying to get the 2nd Tom Delgado car into the feature. In the meantime, Ryan Matthews has pulled away from Ryan Griffin. Matthews takes the white flag. Ryan Matthews took his first career win in a sprint race at Buffalo last week, dedicated the victory to his late wife Tiffany, and now Ryan Matthews solidifies himself as a man to be taken seriously in the championship hunt with his 2nd victory of 2014. Ryan Griffin ties his best career finish. He finished 2nd to Ali Riggs at 7077 Speedway last season. Jim Hayes finishes 3rd, and currently he is Ryan Matthews' biggest points rival. Zachary Zinn's 4th, and AJ Young comes all the way from 18th to finish 5th. Young was one of the fastest people on the track.